Well, I didn't think so many of you would be so anxious to let your new heir of your wealth in your family upon your death. I did not know that the number one most popular heir to millionaires' fortunes was going to be the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. Today, there's $900 billion sitting inside of self-directed IRAs. These are held by baby boomers that were born from 1946 to 1964. I'll be 62 this year. I'm the last year of the baby boomer cycle. 70 to 72 million baby boomers are alive today in the US. 18 to 20 million have a net worth over $2 million. It's about $45 trillion will be transferred by that 18 to 20 million baby boomer millionaires. The IRS knows that. They knew that when they created this back in 1946, and they set up IRAs and 401ks and KIOs and all the other types of investments in retirement accounts that have been put together over the last 40 plus years. But today there's a problem. The true emphasis of setting all that up was not to give us a way to save money. It was a way for us to create huge amounts of wealth to give back 1/3 of it to the Internal Revenue Service. And the way they did that is they made it so difficult to get out of your IRA. You do an early withdrawal, it was a 10% penalty in that year's federal income tax bracket. No one wanted to touch it. It was the most expensive money I have in my portfolio, and you probably had in your portfolio. It had to be a dire straight emergency to take any withdrawals early out of your retirement plan. 99.9% never touched it. We sat back, we funded it, we shoveled money, and we watched this thing grow like a beautiful, fresh Sunday loaf of bread. Just kept growing as the yeast began to rise. As the assets grew, the stock market grew, investments in general grew over the last 40 years. Some people have taken $500,000 and turned it into $10, $20 million by smart investing. Some have turned it into $100 million. And the IRS knew that. And the actuaries knew that. And the government knew that. And they said, you know what we have? We have a pack mule society. These 70 to 75 million Americans are going to take pride in rebuilding the United States and having the greatest growth in the economy in the history of the United States. And we did a great job. We created this beautiful America we have today. But now we want to get paid for what we say. We want to say, now I can take my money out of retirement. I can slow down in my job. I can retire fully. And now I can start taking it out. What's the problem? As that money comes out of your IRA or your retirement account, you're going to owe this year's federal income tax rate. So unless you have other deductions or your income small, for those who've created the wealth, those 18 million to 20 million baby boomers who have somewhere around 2 million or more in net worth inside the IRA, you got to figure out how to get it out without paying federal income tax, or at least paying as little income tax as possible, given the tools that are available. Some of my smartest investors, some of my smartest friends, some of the smartest guys I hang around with and gals that I hang around with said, look, it's simple. You've got to start immediately figuring out a solution to exit and get out of that IRA. How do you do that? Well, I know I need to get out of an IRA or a traditional retirement account, and I got to put it in a self-directed IRA because I want to control what I invest in, the asset choice that makes up my retirement account, and I need to exit when I need to exit. So you go out and you take your money, you move it to a self-directed IRA. There's great custodians out there. And now you say, what asset do I buy with money inside of my self-directed IRA that will help me convert from a traditional IRA into a Roth? Now, Roth may be your favorite word. Maybe put in your tombstone, I love Roth. Because a Roth, when you convert, allows you to convert your money that's tied up and restricted to allowing you to move it into a Roth IRA, and all the growth and all the value and all the appreciation that you get, you will not pay taxes on. The problem is, how do I get it from bucket A to bucket B? How do I get it from a traditional account and move it to a Roth and do it in the least amount of way that I have to pay the least amount of taxes? Well, folks, I've been doing oil and gas investments. I've been doing investments myself. I've got thousands of millionaires as clients. And some of my clients figured this out about 7 years ago. They said, you know, we have this enormous volume of investors trying to get out of their retirement accounts into Roths, pay as little taxes as possible, because the exit, getting out of this stampede of older people that are baby boomers like me and you, we're running toward the door. The problem is the door is getting skinnier and skinnier because that mandatory withdrawal is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The older you are, the more time you've had to create that wealth. You went through a huge amount of growth and cycle. But now you're taking out mandatory withdrawals. You're paying that federal income tax the day you take the money out, the year you take it out. They knew that. They counted on that. They calculated that. The president today counts on, I don't know, what do you call, maybe $5 to $10 trillion in taxes coming out of the amount of money being put to the side by baby boomers who are now taking withdrawals out of their retirement account. It's enormous. They counted on it. They bet on it. But if you'll think and you put a category of alternative assets, real estate and oil and gas and crypto and all the other alternative assets, and you say, which one can I buy inside of my self-directed IRA that I might get an outside appraisal and I might be able to convert that based on a true appraisal that follows SEC guidelines, the IRS guidelines, and allows me to move money from a traditional IRA into a Roth and do it with the least amount of taxes paid. Well, I'll tell you what all my thousands of clients have figured out. It's owning oil and gas and mineral rights, because why? A market value is different than an appraisal value by the tune of 40 to 70%. If I can convert money out of my IRA into a Roth IRA and allow the rules and regulations of transferring an asset like mineral rights, it gives me an enormous tax advantage, which otherwise I will not find or be able to access as a result of having a cliff, a time, a stamp of 72 years old that says I have to start taking money out. But if you find an asset, in my case, I like oil and gas mineral rights, that helps you transfer that money to a Roth, it'll be the single greatest tax advantaged asset decision that you made, in my opinion. Here's the other part. By taking those advantages inside of moving money into a self-directed IRA and then looking at the assets and figuring out which asset fits your sophistication and suitability, and then determining which asset you can transfer to a Roth, once you do that and you pay your taxes, the entire growth in that Roth now goes tax-free. I challenge you today to find out what asset makes better sense than oil and gas mineral rights. I wish you well. I know you've worked hard, so have I. I'm the last year of baby boomers. I see what's happening to all my friends that are older than me, and they're all scrambling for that exit in that door, which is, how do I preserve my wealth, give it to my kids, and take care of the taxes that are owed on money I've made for 40 years, never thinking about being inside of a box. And the toll to get out of the box is a federal tax rate on all the gains that I made inside that retirement account.